So you do accept pitches then. So I could either say, "Hey, I made this film. Do you want to put it on your platform?" Or can I pitch an original idea to you?
Yes.
I don't
I
have
don't.
one. Don't worry.
Hello and welcome to Valley Girls, the bi-weekly podcast exploring everything there is to see, do, try, eat, and experience in New York's Hudson Valley by talking to the makers, the doers, the growers, the creators, and all the unique voices of the Hudson Valley. I'm Jenny Leifer.
And I'm Jennifer Santiago. And together as the Valley Girls, we're telling the Hudson Valley story one episode at a time. We're so happy you're here.
Welcome to episode 23 of Valley Girls. On our podcast journey so far, we've talked to photographers, bakers, writers, musicians, painters, podcasters, jewelry designers, candle makers, and poets. But we haven't yet talked to anyone from the film and television community until today.
Yeah, we're so excited to explore the filmmaking community here in the Hudson Valley. Yes, there is one, with Angel Fonseca and Laura Candell, the co-founders of Hudsy, that's Hudsy, whose mission is to unite and empower the Hudson Valley through impactful storytelling by promoting diversity, providing opportunities, fostering understanding, and driving positive change. And you do that through so many cool initiatives that we want to talk all about. But first, let's get to know you both a little. Angel, let's start with you. So we're always interested in stories of how people found themselves in the Hudson Valley. So you've been here in the region since you moved up from the Bronx in 2016. Is that right?
Semi right. I was raised in the Bronx, but I lived pretty much all over the city except Brooklyn and Staten Island. But yeah, I was raised in the South Bronx and then escaped to Long Island to go to school, and then I went to Manhattan, and then the last place I was residing was Astoria before coming up to the Hudson Valley.
All right. So you'd been in Long Island, so it wasn't that weird for you to leave the city and be in a more suburban area. But was there something in particular about the Hudson Valley that really appealed to you?
Yeah, so my daughter's mom, we were expecting a child, and we didn't want to raise our kid in New York City, so we decided to raise our child in the Hudson Valley, which made sense. Actually, no, that's not true. It didn't make sense to me, but I was just going for the ride. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
but
I
think
ended up
about
here.
taking the stroller on and off the subway, up and down the subway staircase. That alone is reason enough to head north.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. I feel like we made a really great decision by moving up here. I had friends that didn't think I'll last this long. They were actually placing bets. This is like a real thing. And 8 years later, I've been here, not only seeing my daughter grow up here in the Hudson Valley, but also just building my community up here too. So it's been an amazing experience all around.
That's awesome.
That's so great. Actually, my cousin lives in Astoria and absolutely loves it there. Most of my family is from Brooklyn. But I too, even though I'm from here originally, was living on Long Island at the time that I decided to move back up. And I have to say, same reason, family and all of that, raising children. And I just remember coming up and saying like, wow, okay, I got to get out of there and come back up here. This is where I want to raise the kids. So same, I totally get that. And Laura, you're a Hudson Valley native, right? And you've spent your
Yes,
whole career here in the vibrant regional art scene.
I have born and raised. Uh, Grew up right outside of Woodstock in West Hurley, Route 375, Hurley Ridge Market, the area,
Mm-hmm.
which is now Hannaford. And yeah, I went to SUNY New Paltz for a couple of years, and at that same time, I had started working for a local arts organization that I was at for 17 years, and I left that 2 weeks before the pandemic, and not knowing that was coming. And fortunately, Angel and I connected, and here we are today. I know Angel because I went to high school with his daughter's mother. So yeah, so it's been a really nice. I mean, it's been more than a nice time getting to work with Angel and getting to know Angel. I call him family now, big
Aw,
time.
Aw.
aw.
Love
Our-
it.
That's so cool. So I am so into all of the content that Hudsy is putting out. And there are a couple of things that you say on the website that just really resonated with me. You say there's no reason the Hudson Valley can't be well known for a sweeping creative movement that reinvents our local media landscape. And then you also have a tagline on one of the sections that says, taking back our stories one town at a time. So obviously, like Angel, a lot of people came from the city or from Point South and ended up in the Hudson Valley. But I do feel like the region is sometimes at the mercy of, the city people in terms of media and the entertainment industry. Somebody's filming an HBO show and they come up and they shut down all the streets in Hurley and they take over and they all go buy coffee at the coffee shop and it's great and exciting and then they leave. But other than a small temporary boost to the local economy, maybe it doesn't do all that much. So how important is it to the work of Hudsy to really prioritize the local voices, local talent, telling local stories, not just importing people from Hollywood or from New York City and using our gorgeous landscape as a backdrop? And that one's for either one of you.
Yeah, I'll jump on that one. I think we all have stories, right? I think that's the one factor in all of this. There's Jennifer who lives right across the street from me, and I wave to her every day and find out that she has a story that I can connect with, or better yet, a story that I think is important to the world, right? I think the idea about taking back our stories was more in the vein of, Hollywood comes to our community, they tell our stories and they leave. But what difference would it make if we tell the stories that are happening in our community? There is a trust there, there's a connection there, there is accountability there that allows us to really do right by not only our community but the people within our community. And this is not a knock on Hollywood, but it's just the reality, right? Like, Hollywood does come to our community. They say they're hiring local, but they hire 2 people with a staff of 150 people. And sometimes that doesn't, resonate for everybody. It doesn't sit well for me, at least. And I just think that it's just important to really find ways to celebrate the voices in our community. And one way is through storytelling. And, we are blessed to be filmmakers, so we are able to do that in the visual form, but very similar to what you folks are doing in the audio format. So, I think that that's really where that resonates from. I truly believe that we need to find ways to celebrate the voices within our community. And, the taking back our stories it also resonates with our apprenticeship program and how we're training folks to become the local filmmakers that they want to be.
Yeah. And I think that also kind of speaks to, especially since 2020, we've had a lot more dialogue around this, which I think is a good thing, but who gets to tell their stories? I think about that a lot as a white woman and a feminist and trying to be intersectional. And there are some stories that just aren't mine to tell. And so I have a son who's on the autism spectrum. And when he was very little, I was very involved with Autism Speaks because it was really the only autism advocacy organization that was available to me. And then over the years, the pendulum has swung somewhat away from Autism Speaks because of people in the autism community getting older and saying, hey, we do speak. We want to tell our own stories. Like, I have my perspective as a parent of an autistic person, but I don't have the perspective of an autistic person. So I think that taking back our stories has a really important aspect too, because you have such a focus on diversity and communities that have been otherwise underrepresented. It's really important to think about who gets to tell the stories of those communities.
That's spot on, Jennifer. I think also
Nailed it.
Yeah, one of the things that I pride myself on with our organization is how diverse we are. I think that culturally, if you're going to step into these communities and try to tell their stories, that the people that are telling those stories represents those communities. And whenever you on a set of Hudsy, it's not an all white male crew. And this is not a knock on white folks, but traditionally the film industry is dominated by white male. And on a set of Hudsy, you're going to see trans, you're going to see non-binary, you're going to see brown, you're going to see black. And I think that's what's really separating us and women. I'm sorry, I apologize, but yes, our lead cinematographer is a woman. That's the pride that I take in what we're building here, is that we represent all folks, all walks of life, and I think that that's an important part into how you step into this industry and try to shift it just a little bit. Because yeah, we're telling all kinds of stories, all types of voices, and we want to make sure that those voices are aligning with the people telling those stories.
Yeah, we're going to come back to the apprenticeship program because that was something I wanted to ask more about. But I also feel like it's important, the old saying, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So if you are a person of color or a woman or a trans person and you show up on a film set and everybody there is, a 30-year-old white male hipster, you're going to say, well, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't my community. Maybe I can't do not only the work that needs to be done, but then also the work to infiltrate or penetrate this community. So I think that's really important that you're prioritizing having such a diverse workforce as well as telling diverse stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about content. There's so much great stuff on Hudsy.tv, and it does require registration, but everything is free to watch. You've got so many genres. There's the Hudsy original films, documentaries, there's animation, comedy, music, a whole section of content by and for LGBTQIA plus community. Where is all this coming from? What's the process for a Hudsy original to get made?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Hudsy originals we do in-house with our team. Angel's actually the head of production, so I should probably let him speak, but I was feeling very lonely over here, so I needed to.
We need to hear your voice, Laura.
And so we have about, our team at this point is 18 strong, and I think 15 are on the creative team. And they all have different parts in production. Some of them do live events, some of them are editors, some of them are on set, some of them are apprentices. But we tell the stories of the community from the Hudsy lens, and do our best to find those stories that are sort of between the cracks that don't often get that light shown on them. And so we started off very strong and made like 50 films in 3 years, which was aggressive. And
Wow.
and this year we sort of said, let's focus on a few really, let's take more time with a few stories that we really want to tell. So we've slowed down a lot on the production side so we can focus on spending more time in other programs as well. But we do consistently make our own Hudsy originals. And then the other content that's on the platform, we have close to 600 films or more now on Hudsy.tv. And those are non-exclusively licensed from other local creatives in the region. Everything has to have something to do with the Hudson Valley, whether that's the content is about the Hudson Valley, the people making it are from the Hudson Valley or used to live here, the actors are in it, the story is about somebody from the region. Whatever it happens to be, there is a connection to the Hudson Valley. And we do try and have as broad of a range of things on it as well. And we're constantly looking for new content. So if anybody's interested, there's a spot on our website on hudsy.org where you can submit a film.
That's awesome.
So you do accept pitches then. So I could either say, hey, I made this film. Do you want to put it on your platform? Or can I pitch an original idea to you?
Yes.
I don't have one. Don't worry.
No. It's fine. I think that, I think, and just to give context of why we filmed so much is that when we first launched as an organization, we launched as a cooperative, right? So we were a for-profit business that was trying to figure out ways to just bring subscriptions onto the platform. And we thought that the best approach was to just go deep
hard
into production and try to go nonstop. And we did it. It wasn't probably the healthiest approach just as a small outfit of a team. And then obviously when we transitioned to becoming a nonprofit, which we are now, it was really about all right, we have programs that we're building in this organization. Let's focus on that. We have films that we're working on, but we don't have to work on 10 of them in a year. We can work on 3 or 4 of them and really put time and effort into them and thought behind it while building out these bigger programs that we truly believe represent what we're doing at Hudsy. So
And just a little context to that. Oftentimes, a documentary or any film, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 40 minutes, a full feature, takes years to make. So the fact that we're even making 3 to 4 in a year is still a huge feat. I would just want to say that like we're still accelerating a process that normally takes way more time, but because we have full-time staff that is dedicated to doing this and the stories are local to us and we aren't traveling to tell them, and they're stories that we're passionate about and can tell from our backyards in a way, it allows us to do this in a more in a faster trajectory than we potentially could have if we had to travel everywhere to do these things. So that's another reason why having a local platform is very beneficial to us being able to tell more stories than if we were all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And there's something to being brand new and being overly ambitious. I'm not saying we did as much as you guys did, but yes, when we first started, we were like, we have to be weekly. We're a brand new podcast. We have to build up our content. We have to get our names out there. And then we talked to other podcasters like Matt Zucker, who runs the City It podcast. And it's like, really? Every week? You're weekly? And we're like, wait, is that not normal? And so now that's why we're back with season 2 and we're bi-weekly because we found out. But
congratulations. We actually took on a weekly radio show once a week on Radio Kingston this year.
I know, and that's you have
24.
That's what we said in the beginning. You have so many different initiatives that you're doing, and we understand how that goes. You like, we can do this and you can do that. And so I want to talk about the apprenticeship program. I would love to know more about that.
Yeah, I'll just jump on the apprenticeship program because the apprenticeship program was really my trajectory as a filmmaker, right? Like, I came from the music industry, and when I came from the music industry, I came in a time where I was decently privileged in the sense of like financially. And I was burnt out and went to dive into film, recognizing that like I didn't know where to start, where to go. I went to film school. That was a waste of money. And then at the same time, I was recognizing how privileged this space is. And for someone that comes from where I come from the hood of the South Bronx. Someone like me coming from where I came from probably wouldn't have the best shot to get or propel their career as a filmmaker. So as I was learning from hands-on with other filmmakers and recognizing that like academic filmmaking is a lot different than hands-on filmmaking, that I knew that one day, if I ever had the opportunity, I wanted to make sure I created a program that gave people an opportunity to be the filmmakers that they want to be. What that means is basically being hands-on, having a mentor, having someone that can literally guide you to a space and place that you want to be to propel your career. And then the icing on the cake was, if we can pay them, that'd be even better. And we were able to do all those things. Our apprentice ages are from 18 to 100. And the reason why we say 100 is because I got called out by someone elderly that was like, hey, what about me? So I said, you know what, you're right. So and we don't discriminate. I think the idea really is to try to figure out, if you really motivated to be in this space, we have that tagline, taking back our stories. It only makes sense and right to give people within the communities of the Hudson Valley an opportunity to be a creator, be a filmmaker. So the apprenticeship program is a 6 to 7 month program, which is also a lot different than what a lot of other organizations are doing. They tend to do boot camps, which consists of 3 days, but it's hard to like learn or process being a creator or filmmaker in that short amount of time. So we dove into the space of a 6 to 7 month program. This year we've taken on the most we've ever taken, which is 6 apprentice. And it's really just trying to build this community. We graduated already 14 apprentices, and by the end of this one will be 20. And these are folks that either went to film school or were in film programs in colleges. And I don't want to like toot our own horn, but they all can vouch for and tell you that they've learned more with us than they learned in school. And I knew that firsthand because I experienced it myself. So that's The Apprentice in a nutshell. This year they're creating their own films, and they're going to be premiered hopefully at our Beyond the Screen this year. which is exciting because not so many filmmakers. I know filmmakers that have been in this industry for 20 years that have never seen their film or were able to create a film to witness on the big screen. So we're able to offer that to them as well, which is also exciting. So yeah, that's the apprenticeship program.
So you ask for the time commitment over a period of months, but it's also part-time so they can continue to do whatever else they need to do to live. And then also if there is some stipend to go with it, that's such a huge thing when you are working with people from historically underrepresented groups, is a lot of times the labor is free, or you're getting exposure, we're going to teach you all this stuff. So also being able to have a little bit of financial support that goes with the internship, I feel like that's really a difference maker right there.
Yeah, it's really about empowering them, right? And I think that notoriously or traditionally, a PA or apprentice is either fetching coffee. They don't really have stake or even an opportunity to really have a voice on set. And we give them voices from the moment they step on set. We empower them. There's times where we're in an interview and I'm asking them, do you see what I'm seeing, or is there something I'm missing? Because I think that's so important. Like, how can anyone learn or grow if you don't give them the opportunity to feel empowered and feel that, or feel seen for that matter? So, we
and to be
really,
wrong.
Yeah.
They can be wrong. They can disagree with you, or they can miss something, and you can say, well, what I was going for is this, because it also feels like when you get an opportunity like that, you gotta check all the boxes and, fit into that little pigeonhole. And so being able to try things and mess up and get hands-on and like have a safe space to fail, because failing is just learning, right? And
100%.
that also doesn't come with a lot of these kinds of programs often.
Yeah. I mean, Angel's really incredible with this group of with all of the apprentices. He's to the point where I have to, like, in our orientation, I'm the one in the room that's like, just so you know, this is abnormal, the way that Angel runs these sets. So like, make sure you know what to do on other sets, because not everybody's going to be like, yes, tell me how you think this shot is looking.
Yeah. And that is
We
true.
make it clear
that
that
is,
but hopefully those people
safe
go
space.
on to run other sets and to mentor other people. And that is how things start to become, instead of, Angel just being the outlier who actually cares. Maybe other people start to take that approach too.
Yeah, affect change for sure.
And we also have Rob Harris, who is our education director, who's running the program alongside Angel. And this year we brought on an additional mentor, Joey Carey from Sundial Films, who's an incredible filmmaker as well. So lots of great, important voices in there helping everybody out. And one of the amazing things that was unintentional but has been a delight for us is that we're kind of training people in the ways that Hudsy likes to make films. And we've hired several of them full-time and part-time after their apprenticeships. And we also always, our goal is to help them find work outside of the program afterwards as well. But our lead cinematographer is an apprentice graduate, Natasha Scully, and this year we created an entire new department called the Live Events Team, and it's 3 former apprentices from last year who run that entire program, which is incredible. And we're, it's this workforce development as well. That's this side effect of this amazing program that Angel and Rob have built out. So
that's so great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you mentioned the live events, and I was going to ask you about that. I know that you host live in-person events. You've had film screenings, a series of networking events that you call the mashup. How do these events support Hudsy's mission? And I know you have a mashup that's going to be coming up next month that may have already occurred by the time that this episode airs. But could you talk to us a little bit about that and any other events that you have coming up?
Absolutely. You want the stage, or you want me to grab it?
I'll dive into it. So the mashup, obviously, we recognize after the pandemic, there's so much disconnect, and we were all yearning just connection, right? And being a small outfit, being an organization that had to reach the masses, how are we going to do it? We could do it digitally, which we were doing, but one of the things that we knew could really hit home is trying to create these in-person events is the best way to market, is the best way to just connect. And we started to do what's called the mashup at Old Savannah in Kingston. And it really like did its thing. You know, we would get about 400 to 500 people from all over the Hudson Valley. You had people coming as far from New York City to from Albany. It was something that we immediately then recognized we were right. This is what people needed and wanted. So that's what we started to do. We started to throw these events every 2 to 3 months. Last year, I think we did about 4 of them. This year we scaled it back for several reasons. It's a lot to produce those type of events, and you know, we recognize that there's just so many other things that we needed to focus on. But these events are so crucial to just connection and just meeting your people, right? You know, in these events, people have met their loved ones, people have met their business partners, people have met just their community, and that was the goal from day one. And being that we were already building a lot of partnerships with other organizations, it only felt right to include them into this mission, because you know, we're not profiting. Our goal was never to really profit, but more about like, how do we just bring each other together? You know, the biggest thing about us is that how do we look at other organizations as colleagues and not as competitors? Because unfortunately, this industry forces you to look at each other as competitors opposed to colleagues. So for us, the first start was, all right, let's connect with other organizations that are doing the work, and let's see if they'd be down to join us. And we've collaborated with a significant amount of organizations at this point. And you know, our last event, we had close to 500 again, and I think that this one is going to be our last one of the year. So it's definitely going to probably do the same numbers, a little more. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's just really about, you know, connecting and just meeting your community members. So.
That
So
is so
we
great.
we
Yeah.
have a mutual friend, which is
Yeah.
Jordan Koshai from Connect HV, which is actually how we got introduced to you. Thank you, Jordan. And everything that you're saying, Angel, about that appetite for in-person events and the connections and the collaboration is exactly what he's been talking about with what he's trying to do with Connect HV. And I really think that, especially because the Hudson Valley is such a scattered collection of really small towns, and because we all suffered through the pandemic and that sense of isolation. And I don't think that creative people are great in isolation. So I think that there's such a market for these live events. And obviously the kind of turnout that you're getting proves that point. Also, Old Savannah is delicious and they have great cocktails. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, our events now are at RMV Cellars, which is part of Red Maple Vineyards in West Park.
Also an amazing place. Yes.
An amazing place.
Amazing.
And this past event, we have 19 collaborating organizations working with us, including Connect HV. So
Yeah.
Super cool.
People have heard me talk on and on about connection and how it's the biggest thing for me. And the pandemic was really hard on people, but just in general, just to get out there and connect with people. And how, you know, I know Jordan doesn't like the word networking. That's a buzzword that he can't stand, but it's just not necessarily to get something from somebody else, or which is why he doesn't love networking, because it makes it feel like you're angling for something.
Because there's no expectation of reciprocity. Like the generosity of the podcasting community has been mind blowing. Like, at least once every couple of weeks, I will reach out to Brett Barry, who has the great award-winning podcast called Cat's Cast, and I'll ask him for something, and he writes me back right away, and he's like, "Yes, this is the vendor we use for that. This is the tool I use for that." I have nothing to offer to Brett. He's head and shoulders above where we are. He's an audio engineer. His podcast has been around for a long time, but he's just like, yeah, I know these things. Why wouldn't I answer you and tell you? And I hope that's the kind of spirit that you're seeing at your mashups too, where people are just like, so just as Jordan talks about, you know, making the Hudson Valley like the digital Silicon Valley, and then John Burton has talked about making it like a podcasting hub of New York. He wants to put together like a network of podcasts, and hopefully Hudsy is doing the same thing in terms of filmmaking. Like, why can't this? I think that quote that I read from your website early on is why can't we make this transition?
Right,
And why can't there be a scene here?
yeah, well, that was the spirit of Hudsy TV as well, was instead of each of us trying to figure out how to get the attention on our 1 or 3 films, how do we bundle the attention and put it all into one space so that we can all be celebrated, and so that all these stories can be found in one place, because attention is hard to keep and it's hard to find the time to Google and get to each and every individual website or
Yes.
YouTube page or whatnot.
Yes.
And we also want people to experience stories that they wouldn't necessarily think about experiencing. So actually part of our other major event series is called Beyond the Screen. And we have one coming up October 29th at the Woodstock Playhouse, which we're really excited about. And we actually don't tell people what they're going to see. It's part film screenings, it's part performances, it's part conversation, it's part a lot of different things. But the goal is to, broaden your perspective, bring people together in community, and also let people know what it is that we do and why we do it and how we do it. But, we've had people in rooms watching films about birthing, and there's, young people in the room and men in the room, and they're going, what am I watching? And then they leave with a whole new sense of somebody else's perspective, and being able to have the ability to bring that to our community is really a special part of what we do. So we're really looking forward to that. We normally have 2 or 3 Beyond the Screens a year. This year, this will be our one and only. So I'm itchy. I'm ready. I'm ready to have a
Exciting.
Beyond the Screen.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll be back with lots more from Hudsy after we hear from our 2 newest Valley girls about the Capital District and Westchester.
Hello, and welcome to A Capital Idea with Rebecca Ash. This week we highlight Wolf's Beer Garden, and it's time for Wolf's Beer Garden's annual Oktoberfest. Celebrating this century-old Bavarian tradition, Wolf's Epic Block Party on September 28th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. has something for everyone. There's live music and entertainment, complete with traditional German folk music, sumptuous delicacies like hearty soft pretzel, juicy bratwurst and schnitzel, and a wide variety of delightful beers. Vendors of every stripe line the block, offering a multitude of souvenirs and traditional treats. There are plenty of games and activities to watch or join in, such as boot chugging and tests of strength. Don your best lederhosen and dirndls, and you could win a number of prizes for the best dress competition. But as a lifelong dachshund mama, my heart belongs to the wiener dog races. Nothing is cuter than watching these hilarious little hounds compete for the title of the fastest wiener in town. Some take their job very seriously and run like the wind on those tiny little weenie legs, and some others, well, they're more loose with their interpretation of contests and prefer to wreak havoc during those heats. You can register up to 3 doxies per form by going to Wolf's website, and pre-sale tickets are available for $20 and include a 1-liter commemorative stein, and tickets at the gate are $30. So grab those tickets now. There's even a VIP pass for $100 that includes 2 drink tokens, hors d'oeuvres throughout the day, and access to the private VIP bathroom. This event is 21 and over, so don't forget those IDs. It's a perfect way to usher in autumn. Prost! Wolf's Beer Garden is located at 895 Broadway in Albany.
Welcome back to the 4-in-1 of Westchester, where we get into the good stuff happening across Westchester County. I'm Danielle Davidson, owner of Main Street Business Strategies. It's finally that time of year in Westchester where the mornings feel like fall, the afternoons feel like summer, and the evenings feel like spring. To top it off, football is back, which means Monday and Thursday evenings and Sunday afternoons should be spent at a brewery watching the game. I know that's what I'll be doing. This week, I'm giving you a brewery tour of Westchester. First stop is Captain Lawrence in Elmsford, where you could play some cornhole, eat really good food, and enjoy the crisp weather. It's a big spot for families, so get there early and hold on tight to your table, because as soon as you get up, it's taken. Next is Broken Bow in Tuckahoe, which is a great spot for those looking to enjoy a low-key brewery vibe. Indoor and outdoor space is also available. And then lastly, we have Simple Motive in Yonkers, really cool indoor-only spot for those chillier fall days. Check their website for the food truck pop-up of the day. If you have any other suggestions or end up checking these places out, please leave us a comment, and then head back here in a couple of weeks for your next 4-in-1 of Westchester.
We actually have the Woodstock Film Festival gives us our own shorts program. This will be our 3rd year, and this is the 25th anniversary of the Woodstock Film Festival. And it looks like our screening will be October 20th at the Bearsville Theater, and we are presenting 3 films that have never been seen yet. 3 Hudsy original films, and we're really proud of them. They're super diverse, and it's a really special thing to be included in this like world-renowned
Yeah,
film
that's
festival.
fantastic. I mean, I've been going to the Woodstock Film Festival since I won't say how long because that tells you how old I am, but for a very long time. And it's just, that's such a cool thing to be, participating in that. So kudos to you guys. That's fantastic.
I volunteered starting their second year for 12 years. So now to be on the other side as a filmmaker there is a whole new world, and it's really fun to see all the sides and get to play in all the areas.
Actually, the Woodstock Film Festival has been the place where it made us realize how the community has showed up for Hudsy. You know what I mean? We've sold out every year. Last year, we were one of the first blocks to sell out that wasn't the actors panel, whatever, the actor reading panel.
Yeah.
And that
Week before festival. Yeah.
so like, and for me, that's the work that we're putting in. That's the trust that we're building. There's so much trust building in this space of what we're trying to do that when we have events like that, it's like, oh, wow, this makes sense, right? Like we're so in it that when we have these events and people show up and show out, it makes us realize that we're really doing the work to connect with the community, to sell out as fast as we've been able to sell out. The festival has been really rewarding and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, the Bearsville Theater is a new location for us, and it's bigger than our past location. So we're looking forward to being able to have more folks join us.
I think
So
one thing that's
exciting.
really awesome too is the variety of content that you have. And so, Laura, you said something about, it's hard to get and sustain people's attention. So the shout out to the short attention span folks like myself. The word film can be intimidating because that implies to me a 2-hour commitment.
Yeah.
So if you give me a 600-page novel, I will be like, yes. But if you're like, do you want to sit down and watch a movie? I'm like, I don't have time for that. There's just something to me that feels like I won't make a commitment to a long thing. So much of what is on Hudsy TV is 17 minutes, 15 minutes. There are some longer things. I don't think I saw anything that exceeded an hour just in my browsing. But some of the great stuff, so I love Dreamworld so much. It's such a good one about Pine Bush and the people who have had UFO experiences in Pine Bush. Very cool. I love New York Rocks with Geo Beck because I'm like a rock nerd. And those are like under 10 minutes for her episodes, I think. Then there's the Hope on the Hudson series, which I also really, really loved. And those were under 20 minutes a piece, I think. There's 6 of them. If you're a binge watcher, go for it. But if you're like me and you're like, okay, I can squeeze in 20 minutes of something between other things, I love that you have some shorter content. I think that that's also really appealing. And so when you say film, it's not necessarily like, well, this is what you're doing for the rest of your day today.
True. I have a short attention span when it comes to watching things personally.
Yeah.
And it was a conversation of how we would go about making our films. How long would they be? What made the most sense? What do people want to watch? So it's been very intentional that we've had a range of time lengths, and sometimes the story doesn't allow us to be as short, super short. Right now we're finishing up a couple of films and they're longer than we expected them to be, but they need it. And by longer than they expected it to be, I mean like 30 minutes instead of 15. So it's still very digestible and watchable while you're eating your lunch or need to watch something before you fall asleep.
But that's what's great about a platform like Hudsy.tv or podcasting, whatever it may be. We have so many options now that the story can be as long as it needs to be. If you can tell that story in 17 minutes, awesome. If you need 43 minutes, take 43 minutes. If you can do it in 4, that's great. So when people say, how long is the podcast episode going to be? We're like,
no,
as long as it takes. We usually schedule an hour. Sometimes we go over that. So, but of course, we try to be mindful that not everybody has the time to commit to that. But anyway, but speaking of things that do have time limits, you have a weekly radio show on Radio Kingston, right? It's called Reel to Reel. Is that an hour long? And how can people listen to that if they want more Hudsy and they want to hear more from the two of you and your guests?
Yeah, it is an hour long. It's from 4 to 5 p.m. every Sunday on Radio Kingston. The easiest way probably is to listen at radiokingston.org, which you can listen live, or we also archive every episode, usually within 24 hours. So all of our it's funny you said this is episode 23. I think we just recorded our 23rd episode last Sunday. So we're in the same trajectory here. And it's also I should really know the call letters, 107.9 FM and I think 1490 AM on the radio. So every Sunday, it's either Angel and I, which we both enjoy very much, but sometimes I need to not get out of my bed on Sunday. So Angel wants to show, or vice versa. Angel wants to spend time with his kid. So we try and balance it all out. But it's been really amazing and allowed us to we tell these stories in film and they are these digestible bites, and sometimes you want to know more. What happened to this person, or why is this story happening, or I want to dig deeper into who they are, and we're able to bring those people onto the show and spend an hour talking to them about whatever comes up. We do prep. We have a great producer, Lex, who's actually a former apprentice of ours, and he makes great questions, and yeah, so it's been a wonderful addition to the roster, and it's why we took it on, because we felt like it allowed us this extension of this storytelling in a more personal way. Not in a more personal way, in a different way.
I love the for those in for the audio here, reel to reel is such a great name for that, because it's REEL to REAL, and I just absolutely love that what you're saying is you're taking it from the film to an actual conversation with them, in real time. So
that was an angel name.
I love it. That was a good one.
And you both have excellent podcasting and radio voices. Before we started recording, Jenny was complimenting Angel's radio voice. And it's funny, we talk about this all the time. So Matt Zucker was talking about Brett Barry, and he said that he has a very handsome voice, which is the perfect description for Brett's voice. But I feel like Angel also has.
Well, that's the first thing I thought of is saying that Angel reminds me of, like, not that they have the same voice, but that same like characteristic of like having
resonance.
Of that handsome voice. So
yes.
Oh, well done, Angel.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm loving this love right now. All of you have great voices too. Let's not get it twisted. I'm just saying.
Anything else that you wanted to share about Hudsy that we haven't yet covered, or if you wanted to talk more about reel to reel or anything else?
Yeah. So, you called out a few programs that we have launched. There's another one. We have what's called the Launchpad program. And basically what that program is about is, there's organizations that have business development that they're looking for their employees, or there's organizations that just probably want to embrace or try to get into the structure of what it takes to make a film or just content creation. And what the Launchpad program has been doing and has done so far, as we went to a farm, they hired us to bring the Launchpad program into their farm, and we're teaching farmers how to become filmmakers.
And it's so cool.
And the cool thing about that, it's an 8-week course. And the idea behind that is, farmers should be the ones telling their stories, right? Who not better than a farmer telling those type of stories? And the twist of this particular farm is they're Spanish speaking farmers, and they want to embrace more Spanish speaking content, which there apparently isn't much of, which is ironic because there's so many Hispanic Latino farmers. And, the idea of just really diving into this creative space and, being able to connect with them in a way that has been different than how we've connected with our apprentice, which to me, I think is such a great program. If more organizations can afford to bring that program into their organization to really teach their team how to structure stories and how to create content, because we all know that if there's any nonprofit out there that knows is that very impactful is storytelling. And if you can keep that within house, if you can, be able to, and then the one thing, also big caveat is in the contract, we have no exploitation. And I truly believe in that, because it's real easy to take we go in there, teach a person how to become a creator, filmmaker, and they're not paying them or compensating them for those type of, so but within that, that's one of our programs that we've launched this past year, and it's been doing very well. And we're also in the process of working on a content creation program for the youth. That's still in the making, but it's in the next, I would say in the next month or two, we should be able to like launch that. But yeah, we're really focusing on programming more so too, because now that we transitioned to a nonprofit, we're making films. That's always going to be our thing. And yes, we have the platform to centralize all the local content. That makes sense. The next best thing, that we've been doing that should be a part of our repertoire is programming, and workshops, because we are extremely connected to the community in ways that we know others aren't. And a lot of people know who we are at this point. So let's utilize our like name and try to get people the skills that they want to embrace in this film industry.
I would absolutely pay for a boot camp with Hudsy for like video content creation for people who suck at video content creation, because I feel like we're starting to get good at audio podcasting, but there's such a huge appetite for video. A static post on Instagram does nothing. It's got to be real to even get picked up by the algorithm. And I'm not good at video. I have an iPhone and that's all I use. So I really do think that there's a market for small businesses, not-for-profits, independent creators like us who are like, we don't even know where to start. We're not going to have a real camera. We're not going to have dollies. Like, what can we do to create some impactful but easy video content? That would be a great boot camp.
Right. You all have like what you said, 18 members. Yeah, it's me and Jen. So it's
I know there were four of us for a long time.
I can imagine. And I agree with Jen. It would be, so great to be able to, I mean, everything, not everything, but a lot of the things that we've done, we've really done a lot of, just self-learning and learning as we go.
I am completely self-taught in everything. I left college 2 years in, and because I was learning more at work than I was learning at school. It was just a weird time at school wise, but I get it. I get the like learn it as you go. And it's empowering to do that too, but to have somebody,
but terrifying. We're building the plane as we are driving down the runway.
The amount of times we have used that phrase is hilarious. We're building it while we're driving it, and it's a lot. And you had asked a question earlier, Jennifer, about, can you pitch a story or how does this work? And so we do accept idea pitches. They don't often go further than that, only because we have so many stories that we feel the need to tell over time. But we do accept them, and we love to hear what people are interested in knowing about, so that if we hear that topic multiple times, we can dive into it. And then also we have something called partnership production or partner production, where people can hire us to tell stories for them. So organizations can hire us to tell a story about their nonprofit, or we are actually working with a few national organizations and international organizations to tell stories for them. And it allows us to further our mission, because it brings in funds to actually do the programs that we want to do. So it's one of our revenue generators, but it helps us to continue to do the work that we do in the local community. So folks near and far can bring us on to work for them.
That's really great. That's awesome. For one last question, which we ask all of our guests, so this is for both of you, so we want to hear from both of you. What are your Hudson Valley greatest hits? What do you love the most about living here? And it can be anything. It can be bookstores, parks, hiking trails, the sunset spots, artists, live music venues, coffee shops. But our rule is you have to specifically at least tell us where your favorite pizza place is up here.
Heard. So. Angel's being silent.
No, you can go. You can go for it. You can take this on first.
He's like, I need to think about this. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my favorite pizza, which is Vincenzo's Pizza in Uptown Kingston.
Okay.
I grew up eating their pizza when they were in Saugerties, or an offshoot of them was in Saugerties. Star Pizza when I was growing up.
Star Pizza, that's
right.
Back. Yep,
going way back.
I love
before
it.
They were in the diner. Like
yeah.
Back. And I did not know about Vincenzo's. And one day I went in and I got a slice and I took a bite and I had like a flood of memories hit me because it was the exact flavors that I remembered as a kid. And now now I live 5 minutes away. So unfortunately, I am often enough. They do not deliver, so I am grateful for that. And other favorite places, I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I have too many to mention, but the Ashokan Reservoir is a forever favorite of mine. And my least favorite place is the view from the parking lot at Walmart in Kingston.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
the most beautiful sunset spot on the planet outside of the Ashokan Reservoir.
I thought you were going to say the Target. in
Targets.
Kingston.
Yeah. Well, that's right next
It's
to each
right
other.
next door.
So
It's right next
I was
door.
just gonna
But the
say
Walmart
that.
one's just a little better.
So
yeah.
we have a sister podcast, which Jen has taken off, a video podcast called Literary Hudson Valley, all things literary, books, bookstores, authors. And the very first author that Jen interviewed, Jenna Brooke Wallach, we were having a conversation and we were asking things like this. And she was like, what is it with the Target parking lot in Kingston? It's like, and we were just talking, but it's right next to the Walmart. Like they're right near
Yeah.
each other. So yeah, it's just that facing the Catskills, the way that the sun sets right behind the mountains. It's
Just gorgeous.
it's wild,
And
right?
then you're like, why am I in this parking
That's
lot
exactly
in
what Jen said. She's
general?
like,
But
why
I
Target?
just gotta be
Why?
here. Yeah.
It's
So
interesting
good.
that you said Ashokan Reservoir because that was literally the place that I was walking. We were talking earlier about how I was living in Long Island at the time, where I just like, that's it. Like it was just a light bulb went off. I was like, I got to move back upstate. I got to be living in the Hudson Valley, and I'm going to start a family soon.
I never left. It's the Ashokan Reservoir.
It was Father's Day weekend, and I was taking a walk with my parents on the Ashokan Reservoir, and I was like, that's it. This is I don't want to raise my kids anywhere else. This is where I'm coming back to. So I get that spot. That's one of mine too.
Speaking of Walmart and Target in Kingston, and a book recommendation that literally no one asked me for, but Help Wanted by Adele Waldman is such an awesome novel. And I read it after we did our interview with Jana, so I didn't even make the connection. But Adele she's a writer. She had a really successful novel maybe 6 or 7 years ago called The Love Life of Nathaniel P. Anyway, look up Adele Waldman. Her first book was great. And then she kind of went into a lull and she had kids and she moved upstate and she actually got a job. She never says where, but I think it's Walmart, but it might be Target. So she really did work at one of the big box stores in Kingston. And
wow.
And so Help Wanted is a fictionalized version of somebody working like not the graveyard shift, but the very early morning shift, stocking in one of these stores. And anyway, she has a bit in there about they all go out for a smoke break and they look out and the parking lot has this beautiful view of the sunrise as well.
That's great. And we should give a shout out. Jana, her book is called Naked Girl and it's amazing. She's a local author. So Jana Brooke Wallach, Naked Girl, highly recommend. That's the one we were talking about.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Angel, you're up.
You're up, Angel.
All right, food. I would say Hudson Taco out in Newburgh is a great spot. I think the view and the tacos and the drinks, I think everything about that place is really, really good. So that would be that's what comes up for food for me.
I think that's the second time someone's brought that up on on our podcast.
Yeah.
I think Jordan said that. Yeah, you got to tell us pizza.
Oh, pizza. I'm a New York City guy, so it's hard, but I will say I like Ollie's Pizza. I think they're making some really quality pizza up here.
Awesome, gluten-free too.
Exactly, and they're pricey, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're good friends, and I also think that they're really doing good work with how the ingredients they're utilizing and using are all pretty local.
When you grew up when you grew up in the city, you grew up getting a slice, and then when you go to an upstate pizza place and you can only get a pie, it's nice when you find a slice shop, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
Their slices are definitely. I mean, I'm gluten free, but when I went with my husband, he was like, "Oh yeah, this is New York pizza. Yeah, this is good." So yeah.
Yeah. And I, obviously, once again, I'm a city boy, so like, trading that for nature was something I never would say I would like. That would be something I'd be excited about. But I really am. I think just breathing the fresh air, seeing the stars, those are the little things that, I take for granted just because I didn't have that growing up. So yeah, looking at the mountains, I live by the reservoir, the Ashokan Reservoir. So being able to embrace that, I got to see the aurora lights the other day there, which was amazing. So yeah, I think nature up here It's something that I really, really love here in Hudson Valley. I'm a guy though that would run my house when I would hear leaves rattling because I still it's so interesting. I can walk through the toughest neighborhoods in New York City, but
Yeah.
up here I hear something rattling. It could be a chipmunk, and I'm like jetting to the house because I just don't know. It could be a monster or something.
I've lived here my whole life. I still do that, Angel. So
Yeah.
just so you
Really?
know, this has been great though.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank you.
for having us. It's been really lovely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully collaborations ahead because you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
No,
Thank
same.
you.
It's been
Just
so great
move
talking
here,
to you guys.
thankfully. Yeah.
No, same. And
Thanks.
Sorry.
Jennifer, I hope that whenever you're here, we can probably interview both of y'all on our radio show. That'd be really fun. And
That'd be really
We
cool.
do video.
and we do video on our radio show too. But no, you folks are doing great work, and I really thank you for having us. This is really
Yeah. It's been really fun.
This is really, really fun.
Thank you
Thank
so
you guys so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. Really appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe, rate and review, because as we know, it all helps tremendously. Do you love the Valley Girls? Tell a friend. Have ideas for the podcast? Tell us. The easiest way to chat with us is our Facebook group, Valley Girls Podcast Pod Squad, or you can contact us through our website, valleygirlspodcast.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter so you never miss a thing. And of course, we're on Instagram at Valley Girls Pod NY. We can't wait to hear from you. Oh, and do you love our theme music as much as we do? The music for this episode is by Robert Burke Warren, entitled Painting a Vast Blue Sky, and can be found on his album Redheaded Friend, available on iTunes and Spotify, and at the link in the show notes. Bye for now.